A motherlode of rare earths has been identified near Wheatland. The U.S. Postal Service is proposing to downsize Casper's Mail Processing Center, and a woman is seriously injured in an avalanche in Grand Teton National Park. We'll take a look at these stories and more today from Wyoming's largest news organization. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily. There's a modern-day gold rush happening in the attempt to dig green energy rare earth minerals out of the ground, and one of a handful of Wyoming companies in the rush may have hit the mother lode near Wheatland. American Rare Earths Incorporated disclosed Wednesday that it found 64% more rare earth minerals than it had originally envisioned, as much as 2.34 billion metric tons, according to Cowboy State Daily's Pat Mayo.
And those metals can be used for, anything from like cell phones, electric batteries and EVs, military stuff, missiles, drones, that kind of stuff, for all this high-tech stuff. And it's important probably for the state of Wyoming and America because China's pretty much got a lock on rare earth metals.
The find could dwarf the 1.2 million metric ton estimates in northeastern Wyoming that one of its competitors claimed was one of the biggest discoveries in the world. Well, less than a month ago, the U.S. Postal Service announced it would evaluate whether to downsize Casper's mail processing facilities to a local processing unit. Just 28 days later, the initial results of that study are already complete, and the data supports a business case for making that change. That's according to Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean, who adds that this proposal mirrors one already made for Cheyenne's mail service.
If Casper's mail processing moves to Billings and Cheyenne's moves to Denver, that'll mean the Cowboy State doesn't have a regional processing and distribution center. The biggest center it'll have is a local processing unit, which is a much smaller capability than the regional processing and distribution centers.
A public meeting has been set for February 21st to share the findings of the study with the public and to collect public comments on the proposal. A 29-year-old woman was seriously hurt in an avalanche in Grand Teton National Park on Sunday when the violent wave of snow carried her 1,500 feet down Prospectors Mountain. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports the woman was one of a group of 5 people skiing the top of the Banana Cooler at 10,800 feet elevation when they triggered the slide.
3 of them were able to do something which is called self-arrest, where they essentially just throw their weight onto an ice hammer and then the ice hammer lodges into the slope and it keeps them safe. One man was carried 500 feet, but then the serious injuries were to a woman. She was carried 1,500 vertical feet by this avalanche, and she sustained pretty severe injuries.
The woman's identity and current condition have not been released. The other 4 skiers who were with her were able to ski off the mountain without assistance. I'll be back with more news right after this.
Three Crown Petroleum is a private oil and gas company that drills oil wells in Wyoming, adjacent states, and internationally. Three Crown is actively looking to lease minerals for drilling or to buy minerals, royalty, or existing production within Wyoming. To learn more about Three Crown, call or text Howard Cooper at 970-756-4747. Again, call or text Howard Cooper at Three Crown Petroleum, 970-756-4747.
A new anonymous mailer has surfaced targeting Wyoming Secretary of State Chuck Gray. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson reports that the flyer accuses Gray of being a rhino, or Republican in name only, and abandoning Republican values.
The timing of the mailer is quite interesting, as it has popped up very shortly after Gray recently ruled that a series of anonymous mailers targeting State Representative Steve Harshman and Buffalo Representative Barry Crago were both lawful.
The flyer also mentions how Gray's father donated the vast majority of funds to his son's 2022 Secretary of State campaign, a sum of $500,000. The mailer claims this donation equated to an act of buying the election. And a military-grade, nuclear-capable rocket was found in a garage in Bellevue, Washington last week. Former military officials and weapons collectors told Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines that something like that could easily happen here in Wyoming.
Believe it or not, it's not unheard of. In fact, it's perfectly legal for civilians to have old or inert military ordnance, up to and including things like rockets and missiles. They need to be disabled. They can't come with any explosive ordnance or any active warheads, or if it's a machine gun, it can't be capable of actually firing.
An auctioneer told Cowboy State Daily that there's a huge market for inert military weapons such as bazookas, small rockets, dummy grenades, and machine guns. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the subscribe button on CowboyStateDaily.com. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.